Because I'm going to read for quite a long time, I'm not going to say much except in the intro, except for I stopped enjoying entertainment and so went for a kind of endurance test kind of thing. So, and also this was written sort of as in the beginning as a sort of joke textbook that kind of unravels. So that's where we start. 1.1 abstract. This paper is an ideometric documentation of the procedures and real-time results of a series of multilateral social experiments designed to test the use and the effectiveness of the fear then relief technique in producing compliance. During the course of these experiments, the fear then relievers phenomenon has been demonstrated to be A, reliable, and B, strong in both A, field studies, and B, laboratory settings. In setting out their findings, the authors have employed a verbal visual model based on concepts of A, limited capacity for cognitive resource, B, direction of attention, and C, fear dynamic. Concepts proven in historical surveys and studies to induce anxiety in all persons, excluding A, sociopaths, B, the mentally deranged, C, people with more money than sense, D, nihilists, E, the chronically depressed, and F, prospectors, who are due to arrive shortly. During the latter part of these experiments, it was observed that different factions of the population responded differently to the sources or stimuli, with some groups attempting to A, negate external factors and continue as normal, and others, A, engaging with and often becoming addicted to current affairs via news media, B, dying. It was also observed that when later resources were abruptly eliminated, 100% of participants affected responded positively to all bizarre requests made of them. The stark findings of this study, which points to not only a degradation of intelligence and living standards, but also to language, the key tool at our disposal used to measure and express variables, leads the authors, who, it must be added, did not conduct these experiments and were themselves subjects of measures put in place, to surmise that such persons as experience bouts of acute anxiety which mysteriously dissipate would benefit from being alert to their surroundings during post-symptomatic periods. As it is normally during these lulls that adjustments to the fabric of society are forthcoming. In conclusion, beware when the danger is over. Field experiments and preventative measures for safeguarding. Faux nostalgia for the city the way it used to be, a playground, dirty and picaresque. Google translates to fear of current dystopia, not again, bleached in big data, collated, modelled, rendered and exported as meaningless. During the long hiatus, the sci-fi fanatics predicted the worst, primed as they were from decades of reading bad poetry. New World Order, they said. Necropolitics, they said. 5G and microchip injections, they said. Biofascist police state, they said, and HMRC having the power to freeze assets for bad behaviour. Try, in conversation, pointing out that for most people, A, life was like that already, B, that now it's the same, only worse, and C, that if this is the first time in your life you felt discriminated against, then you should probably count yourself lucky. Nobody wanted to hear it. Stress factors and feelings of a lack of achievement when compared to expired generations sparked a desire for destruction. They wanted to see Rome fall and the foot soldiers take over. They prefer, or it is more lucrative, for them to twitch their live stream, staring out at the streets as sponsored by Magnum, the syrupy alcopop, not the photography agency, which, framed in the French windows, are back. And for all the promises, and notwithstanding everything they read on the blog, it's clear that the most extreme scenarios were lacking. The CCTV is still blurry, AI still doesn't get your jokes, music is still Adele. There are no retina scanners, no laser beams to scan your thoughts, no global government to collect corporation taxes, nothing to make life exciting, dangerous, or even interesting. There's nothing to fight against except your annoying right-wing friends and their fusion cooking miso mash of misinformation, echo chambers, filter bubbles, and a total absence of collective reality. It's not top-down, it's not because of the Tories, it's not because of the UN, nice try, or the Silicon Valley tycoons microdosed out of their Cali-soaked minds. It's got FA to do with the depopulation agenda discussed at Davos last year, or the WHO. This Shangri-La is grassroots created from the bottom up. We've brought this on ourselves with 4 decades of not doing our homework and partying, separated by urban midnight marauding, staying up late watching TV, and trips to the seaside. 2.2, digital psychic. Traditional modes of resistance, protest, marching, blacking out your Insta, are what they've always been, futile and extra creamy. Geriatric millennials occupy the feeds, bore lords and keyboard warriors on 0-hour contracts, which actually means full-time work, capitalising on FOMO with well-curated photo dumps, and endlessly rehashing hashtags for their empty solidarity memes. Solidarity that is yet to materialise in real life, where hashtag no lives matter. 2.3, the built environment. We're here, we're here. Construction workers have long warned us that decisions to use cheap materials and flaunt health and safety regs was always going to come down to this sappy, potholed drive-through existence, where the glyphs on the side of the new skyscrapers being slung up in Nine Elms and Isle of Dogs are written in Chinese. What do you care? You never went there anyway. Proposals to repurpose defunct department stores into worker storms are green-lighted by bankrupt councils. Fortress Britain is locked-in syndrome. TERFs man the barricades. Nerf guns at the ready. Tommy A.O. Robinson says you're a paedophile, and that's that. Conversation over. You're gonna get your fucking head kicked in. Citation needed. Meanwhile, Donald's MSN trades exclusively in doublespeak. A doubling, B doubling, C toiling, and D troubling, with clickbait and bullshit and clickbait and bullshit. Our subscription model gets you access to digital page after digital page of crackpot theories about how to combat terrorism that isn't terrorism really, and crackpot action plans to crack down on hacking that isn't hacking really, and crackerjack anti-racist campaigns that are really, really racist, and editorial shoots for £1,000 trousers made of plastic sieved out of the seas as modelled by Rocky Grenfell's hairy sister, and Cara Burn the Creamery's Delavine, that harpy, lips moist with the last black girl's pussy she ate. Don't focus on the abhorrent bank balance or the Irish genocide that got her coins. Just think about this. She's gay. Limp dick propaganda cooked up in the SW2 HQs of flailing media empires left for the past 2 decades to the care of unpaid interns fails to engage. Banners on buses berate the maskless masses, act like you've got it, hanging out with mates can kill, but we all knew that already, rot in pieces, amen. The race to the bottom is off, meaning it's on. Selfie sticks held aloft like victory flags as if the ground they're running on wasn't sold out from underneath them decades ago. Watch as they merrily snap, snap, snap. Phones turned on themselves, or the highest comedic value loser to saunter into Westfield, determined to leave no stone island unturned. Happy slappers and road accidents are a thing of the past, as is the young man who looks like an old man already because he took too much drugs. Hey, he shouts, hanging off scaffolding without a hard hat. Do you like smack? The answer is no, you don't. However, you do align with and admire the politics behind it. Black market, shadow economy, any series of transactions that have some aspect of illegality or are characterised by some form of non-compliance with a set of rules. The illegal activity continues unchallenged at an enormous scale, supports the theory of an ideal society. Nothing is under control. There's no order, no overseer, nothing's up to date. It is because of this that the appearance of order, by sanctions or threat of sanctions, is deemed necessary. Conjuring a feeling of being counted, watched, logged is cheaper than a policeman's wages. You've become your own policeman. You regulate your own behaviour. Hello, little policeman. Only stop for a moment to think how many shipping containers of narcotics arrive in The Hague on any given afternoon, are waved through customs before being unloaded onto the dock, while somewhere in a back room, a young man is getting his teeth pulled out by another young man who couldn't afford the fees for dentistry college. Do you want to go? A flyover from a drone provides uninterrupted surveillance but doesn't catch anybody at all. Activity flourishes, meaning that everyone gets paid. And so it becomes obvious, yet again, that no one's driving this flying umbrella. At least he's not doesn't get stage fright. MCHI. 2.4, preparing for a crisis. The once favoured policy of managed decline. 2.4, preparing for a crisis. The once favoured policy of managed decline is now viewed as commercially unviable. It takes too long. This again is where the fear becomes useful. It's what is used to make you think they're on your case, when in fact it's the wily West End. This is the rainy day they told you about, and the only thing holding off a run on the bank or a charge against a metaphorical castle is that flimsy insurance policy you signed in 2003, which promises protection as long as you fall in line. Don't A, do anything stupid. B, do anything stupid. C, do anything stupid. Fall in line with a puddle of marketing speak professionals and billionaires' bitches who churn out press releases in order to maintain the lie that England still functions. As if it isn't and hasn't always been. Smoke and mirrors, magic and spite, protection rackets, pyramid schemes, backhanders, bribes. Now say? What I say is, much as tough guys like to harp on about how the old days were so much better, waving it about, citing squat raves and stone roses, leaving their crude oil deposits on chairs, sofas, tables, shop fronts, brick walls, parked cars, bus stops, bridges, going on about how the Welwyn Garden City of their youth is on par with 1990s New York City. Deep down, everybody knows, even the lousy little Southeast London poets, that the old days weren't any different from these new ones. Everyone knows it was no good then, like it's no good now, like it's not going to get any better. It was the old days, after all, which led directly to this car crash of a situation. Temporary events license. Foggy, miasmic, homegrown, leave us alone, let's go get stoned, decrepitude. Cast your mind back to that last counterculturalist white boy summer. The summer before the shit hit the fan. The summer where we were all forced to pretend that the 60s were relevant again, when BBC 4 hauled out all the old war heroes and put them dead on air so we could listen to them nodding off, nodding out. Disney cartoons are written by meth heads, coloured in by Fenty addicts, so no surprise that they, like everything else, are racist. We're galloping up the garden path led by that Deningpole fella and his cohort of punchable libertarian reactionaries. Race war, they said, but follow their arguments to their ultimate conclusions, and what it in fact heralds, if it heralds anything at all, is an end to privacy and the conceits of private property that come along with it. Maybe a good thing, or maybe a thing beyond good and bad. Or antiquated ideas about morality. Maybe all it is a return to the natural order of things, where bodies are made for sharing. And stages. 3.2, shopping. Update your bio. You will own nothing and you will be happy. The end. It's not the end. 3.3, community. Community kitchens and squatted bathroom showrooms will continue to provide an uninterrupted service. A bounty of unplumbed toilets which never drip, dream on, strictly for the use of refugees only. No economic migrants, please. We're English. But there's no avoiding the fact that we left the boy in the corner for too long, and now he's a coke bloke wife beater. What happens to any black dude who signs with Excel, where A&R is done by big-chinned Beadle's chiefs, whose cheap stock imitations of culture make life not worth living. Full fat, oversaturate, thinned out over time to the consistency of a cafe latte, then a flat white, and finally, cappuccino froth. Exponential growth is a mirage, a patch in the middle distance that is as dry and arid as the expanding Sahara. No phantom fountains to be found. However calming an idea the expanding universe is, the efforts to deny the outcome, expansion to such an extent that the density is nil, are enough to spook any non-gelatinous beastie. Expanding foam universe has expanded as far as it will go and hardened into its final state, the ever-meaning present. Excuse me. Even if the instructions on the packet say it needs another 2 hours to set, it's already impossible to change. Only skin-deep edits are possible. Interventions in marker pens serving only to make ugly things look uglier still. Dream project, there's no meta escape. Your fate is to be a long-time lurker, sitting it out on the side benches, carving your name into the plastic. Teenage city, vomity, infantile residue, a temper tantrum that never abated. Bad boys, spit the dummy, or throw the toys out the pram. You don't want to go to work today? Well, tough. No one else will provide the craved attention. Even the plods don't care enough to nick you, not worth the paperwork. They're after something juicy, a knife arrest. A knife arrest that lets them get their tasers out and blast volts. Arriba! 3.4, clandestine techniques and avoidance. Door? Never mind the vape clouds which momentarily bemuse, leaving you obsessed with the details of other people's fraudulent SEISS claims, before lapsing into the usual reassurances you've given yourself, which you clung to since you turned 30 and realised you'd never make any real money of your own. That because your parents own their own home, you might end up being one of the ones who end up being alright. As if it won't all get spent on A, cruises, B, social care, and C, death duties, long before you get your clammy hands on it. But you'll cross that bridge when you come to it. The idea of being a homeowner is enough, and stories of roofs falling in, cracked foundations, and blocked drains are enough to keep you buoyant in the meantime. Baby boomers ate all the pies, they didn't know you were coming, and so the NHS must splurge its last, treating cases of square eye and gout on the rise across Europe and the Northern Hemisphere, all the places where people are greedy, and little packets of sweeties only cost 10p. Today your earnings will get you 23 free Freddos. Click here to claim your reward. 4.1, crossing the line. The dot-com bubble and the millennium bug are so dated, it's awkward to bring them up. Not like Kukai or CNA, which are remembered fondly. It's because there's nothing to show for any of it. Even the Hooray Henrys have ceased tradings. Nose bags dried up, but they wait at the trough just in case. A little taste. The fresh out of school kids, the go-to resource pool for ready-made dissenters, haven't been taught to read or write, so can't read the writing on the Gucci mural, end of party, as new rules loom. That means time to go home, wallflower. Old mothers, cupboard loves being bled dry, and all you're left with to take care of you in your old age is the nanny state. What horror, what hell. Better log on to gov.uk and see how many times you paid your taxes on time. Not by any means enough, aka no pocket money for gramps. The mistake you made time after time after time after time after time was thinking you had time to A, spare, B, spend, C, waste. A highly unprofitable superstition you'd have done well to do away with, because now each time you cough up, throw up, you know it's time's up. No old people's home for you, no physiotherapy, no spells, no magic fungi, no turmeric concoction that can do anything for you. .1, malpractice skirts and strategic recommends. Talismans, see good luck charms, fashioned from appendages removed from soon-to-be extinct species bodies, provide no protection whatsoever. They only hasten the inevitable. School to prison pipeline, living on the breadline, hung out to dry, rising temperatures, coastal erosion. But you still want to have a baby. Go on, admit it, you do. Sleeping with the heating on summons vivid dreams, one of those dreams that is trying to tell you something. Us on a train going through a seaside town that is falling into the ocean. Dominic from my courses there. We get off one stop too soon and have to walk, like, can't believe we've had to do this again. We arrive at a conference where I'm supposed to be sorting the DJs. Posh people who have managed to disguise how posh they are behind an East London sheen, colourful tattoos with cartoonish outlines, angular haircuts, rolled up jeans, some plaid, stand around with clipboards. B fostered, R damned, two interchangeable small-handed men. One went from working at Vice to working at Nike. The other's father is a Commodore in the British Navy. They ask me to show them my pass. I tell them I don't have a pass. They are putting on a play. They tell me that if I don't have a pass, I can't be here. I have to leave. I'm organising the whole fucking event, I tell them. They tell me to take my bags and go. I don't have any bags. I'm escorted off the premises. Petty Christian agendas boiling down to one more wasted opportunity. There's always been a meanness to those prep school bastards, but it's hardly noticeable anymore because that meanness, that lack of camaraderie, has trickled down just as the economists hoped it would, into everything. It's seeped into every fetid corner, like your face-to-face biopsy, the day you finally grasp the difference between flesh and meat. It's got something to do with knives and forks and penises, but what you really missed out on this time round was being somebody's daughter. Seriously, it's so cute. 5.2, disproving accelerationism, taking the scenic route. Even if you did sign the petition.org opposing U International's development with Goldman Sachs to redevelop Kensington Olympia, where, when the time comes, you'll still wind up finding yourself, treating yourself to a good coffee, buying a packet of heat tech from the new Uniqlo, trying the fusion noodles and dancing to Robbie Williams' Angels, singing along with all the other dads. The day you finally cross paths accidentally, your phone conversations are a thing of the past. You'll run into one another in A, the street, B, at a tube station, or C, at one of those busy street markets that East Londoners are so fond of for their authenticity. You'll look at each other and see with dismay how fat and old you've both gotten. A, so fat, B, so old, and C, bald to boot. D, grown a beard, obs. E, but that doesn't hide the trauma. It slathers your face, every bit as appalling as the thickly layered foundation the young ladies use to contour themselves new chins. It's quite mean, really. Have some more salad, or try being friendly, or simply doing away with all privileges of space. Not on this plane, in another time, another place. A place without savagery, without castration, without spending power, without bank balance, without muscle mass. Hear me scream for ice cream. A place where you can still be friends rather than fragmented, barred, defeated. Cast your mind back to that night at the Travelodge. Wasn't it romantic? He kissed her once, then kissed her again, and laid her down on the bed, on her back. 6.1, conclusion, overdue. The dance floor's been marked, evidence of swinging collaborations. Chairs marooned down the side of the dance floor in trios and pairs, evidence of convoluted tete-a-tetes which bring tidings of the exes and the next-door neighbour's kids which you used to babysit when they were small, and you were too. The patterned carpet, pinched from a skip during the gastro refurb, smells of booze, blood, vomit, sweat, fags, tears. The disco's cleared out, but the disco ball's still slowly spinning, plugged in behind the sound desk at a socket that someone forgot to turn off. The corridors are long and mostly silent. If there is anyone still about, it's only the long-haired janitors, mopping floors that absorb soap suds along with the dirt. Rubbish bags sag open-mouthed in the corner, smelling their smell. Music plays off a portable radio, beats, white noise, and the occasional high note audible. We all know it's coming, in a vague sort of way. Mañana, finito, sayonara, kaput, hasta la vista, I'll guess I'll be seeing you, or not. Q. Red velvet curtain that looks cheaper than it did in real life falls. A purpling Bugs Bunny pops up and stammers. That's all, folks. Then compost, or sweep out the ashes if you prefer, and keep your bony fingers crossed that dispersal of legacy, vinyl, books, money, perishables, has been properly organised, cardboard boxes, duct tape, by someone who used to tell you they loved you. Charity shop, inheritance, bin. I've actually depressed myself now.